Everything started with a single letter stuffed into our mailbox like it was a court summons. Our grass, apparently, was 3 inches tall, half an inch over the Homeowners Association's sacred limit. No joke. That's what kicked off the whole nightmare in Willow Creek Pines, a sleepy suburban enclave in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we'd moved just 3 weeks prior in June 2024. The letter wasn't a friendly nudge. It was a violation notice, complete with photos, measurements, and legalese that made it sound like we'd robbed a bank. Signed by Karen Walsh, the HOA president, it screamed authority. She thought we'd bow, mow, and fade away. She didn't know us, me, David Carter, my wife, Emily, and our kids, Ethan, 10, and Liam, 12. We weren't the type to roll over, and definitely not the type to let someone snoop into our lives without a fight. What followed wasn't just a spat over grass. It tore the neighborhood apart, exposing secrets nobody saw coming. If you've ever dealt with a neighbor who thought they owned your soul, you'll want to hear this. We'd come to Willow Creek Pines chasing the suburban dream meet lawns, safe streets, good schools for the boys. Ethan, always bouncing with energy, and Liam, just hitting that age where he questions everything adults do, loved the idea of biking around and exploring. Emily and I, both working from home, needed quiet and privacy for reasons we couldn't exactly share with nosy neighbors. The place seemed perfect, matching mailboxes, sprinklers humming like clockwork, SUVs gleaming in every driveway. But I should have seen the red flags. There's always someone in these cookie-cutter neighborhoods who turns rules into weapons, and Karen Walsh was that someone. She was everywhere, clipboard in hand, her yappy terrier an excuse to patrol. Her eyes scanned houses like she was auditing your life, checking off some invisible list. We'd barely unpacked when her first letter hit, accusing our lawn of threatening community standards. I figured I'd deal with it later. Work was slammed, and a half-inch of grass didn't seem like a federal crime. Big mistake. 3 days later, Emily called me to the kitchen window, her voice tight. "David, you need to see this." There was Karen, crouched by our mailbox with a tape measure, photographing our grass like she was CSI. Khakis, polo, camera slung around her neck. She looked like she was auditing a crime scene, not a lawn. When she caught us watching, she bolted to her SUV, tires squealing like she'd just pulled a heist. We stood there, dumbfounded. Who measures grass with a ruler in broad daylight? The next morning, a second notice was taped to our door: violation 3214, a $250 fine, signed with Karen's dramatic flourish. The number stuck with me. 3,000 violations? Was she running a citation empire? I started a log. Dates, times, incidents, witnesses. Call it a work habit. When you deal with sensitive cases, you document everything. Emily agreed something was off. The letters weren't neighborly reminders. They were threats, worded to intimidate, like Karen was marking her territory. Then Ethan came home from school, pale as a ghost. "Dad, some ladies asking about user cars, our schedules." My stomach churned. Work schedules for a grass violation? This wasn't about lawns anymore. Liam added fuel to the fire at dinner. A kid at school said Karen was snapping photos of our house from the park across the street, claiming it was for official records. Official records? That sounded like surveillance, not HOA nonsense. By Friday, Karen posted a notice on the community board, "Emergency HOA meeting," addressing threats to our neighborhood. Threats? Over grass. My gut told me we'd stepped into something bigger, like quicksand disguised as a petty dispute. The meeting was a spectacle. Karen had set up a projector, microphone, and poster boards like she was pitching to a boardroom. 30 neighbors shuffled in, some annoyed, others curious, one elderly woman checking her watch like she'd rather be anywhere else. Karen, in a sharp blazer, launched into a speech that could have been ripped from a courtroom drama. "We face a crisis that threatens Willow Creek Pines' property values," she declared, clicking to an aerial photo of our house, circled in red like a crime scene. She rambled about standards, compliance, consequences, pausing for effect like she was delivering a TED Talk. Her slides showed our lawn from every angle, with charts comparing our grass to neighbors down to the 10th of an inch. Timestamps proved she'd been watching us since we moved in, some photos taken at dawn with telephoto lenses. A neighbor finally spoke up, voice shaky. "Karen, this feels like stalking, not HOA business." The room stirred, but Karen doubled down. Property values have risen 20% under my leadership. Do you want that ruined by defiance? Defiance. That's what she called our half-inch of grass. I stood, keeping my voice calm. We'll mow this weekend. No issue. Her face flushed wanted a fight, something to paint us as troublemakers. As we left, I overheard her whispering to a man in a suit. They're not who they say they are. We need to escalate. Escalate. My blood ran cold. Walking home, Liam asked, "Why does she hate us?" Before I could answer, Emily grabbed my arm. A figure with a flashlight was in our backyard, measuring our fence at 9:30 p.m. It was Karen, caught red-handed with a construction level. "This is trespassing," Emily said, her voice steel. Karen smirked. "I'll find something." There's always something. That was it. We were done playing defense. We turned the tables. Emily started jogging new routes, chatting with dog walkers and gardeners, never mentioning Karen, but listening hard. I volunteered for community projects, helping with yard work, coaching Liam's soccer team. People talk when they're comfortable, and we were all ears. Ethan and Liam became our unwitting spies, picking up gossip from classmates. A neighbor said Karen had driven a family out 2 years ago. Another mentioned her brother's landscaping company got every HOA contract. Liam found the kicker during a school project. Karen's brother's firm, Walsh Landscaping, bought 3 houses from families who left after her harassment. The pieces clicked. Karen wasn't just a control freak. She was running a scam, forcing families to sell cheap to her family's business. I dug deeper, finding news articles from Tucson, Arizona, circa 2020. Karen Walsh, then HOA president of Desert Sands, fled after an embezzlement probe. Same playbook: target families, harass them, profit from forced sales. She'd hit 4 cities, raking in millions through fraud and extortion. But she'd messed with the wrong family. Emily and I weren't just parents, we were federal agents with Homeland Security's Financial Crimes Division. Karen didn't know it, but she was about to learn. Monday morning, squad cars rolled up, lights flashing. Karen stood with 2 officers, pointing at our house like she was directing a SWAT team. She claimed we were causing a disturbance with suspicious activity. I showed the officers my log, photos, timestamps, witness statements. "She's been monitoring our mail and eavesdropping," I said. Karen's face tightened as the officer's skepticism grew. "Ma'am, HOA issues aren't criminal unless there's damage or danger," one said. She snapped. "They're hiding something. Strange hours, secure calls." She'd just admitted to stalking us in front of cops. I handed over my credentials. Special Agent David Carter. Emily followed. Special Agent Emily Carter. The officer's eyes widened. Karen's confidence cracked. That night, a black sedan with tinted windows parked on our street. Ethan overheard Karen asking kids about our work hours. We called our field office, requesting a full background on Karen Walsh. Within hours, we had her file. 8 years, for states, $2.5 million in fraud. She'd harass families, force sales, and launder money through shell companies like Walsh Landscaping. A retired Tucson detective confirmed she worked with a network buyers, officials, even cops in her pocket. We had to act fast. We set a trap. I staged our garage like a federal command post: monitors, files, radios visible from the street. Liam leaked at school that I was getting investigation calls. Emily spread word of official visitors coming soon. Karen panicked. Her SUV parked across the street, snapping photos. Our legal surveillance caught her calls. "They're feds. Activate extraction." Another: "Shut down Walsh Landscaping." Then, chillingly, "Eliminate them before they testify." A death threat, recorded in HD. At an emergency HOA meeting, Karen accused us of being government spies, showing photos of our house and speculating about federal cases. Ethan asked, "How do you know so much about feds?" The room froze. She'd exposed her own illegal digging. Neighbors whispered, her facade crumbling. She stormed out, unaware our backup team was watching. At 4 a.m. Friday, our cameras caught Karen and 2 men with gasoline cans near our house. Arson. Attempted murder. We activated our team. Federal agents swarmed, arresting them mid-act. News crews descended as neighbors gawked. In handcuffs, Karen screamed, "They're the criminals." I stepped forward, badge gleaming. Special Agent David Carter, Homeland Security. We've been investigating a multi-state HOA fraud. Emily added, Miley's stolen $2.5 million from communities like ours. The crowd gasped. The Tucson detective, there for her arrest, grinned. 8 years, we got her. Karen got 25 years for fraud, laundering, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Her network buyers, officials, companies fell in raids across 3 states. Residents got $70,000 in restitution. A kind retiree took over the HOA, setting fair rules. Ethan and Liam became local heroes, our cover intact as brave neighbors. Our garden now spells victory, a nod to justice. We got the Attorney General's award, but the real win was staying put. Grass at 2.5 inches, mailbox still crooked. 2 weeks ago, an anonymous letter arrived. Compliance check pending. Emily thinks it's a prank. I'm not sure. Someone's always waiting with a clipboard, ready to control what's not theirs. But we're ready, eyes open, records ready, neighbors finally asking questions. Justice came quietly, through patience and proof. Have you ever outsmarted a bully who went too far? Should HOA presidents have this much power, or is it a recipe for abuse? Could you spot a scam like this in your neighborhood? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if this gripped you, and subscribe for more stories where ordinary fights turn into epic battles.